Hi there, I'm Van and Faye and welcome to Dragon Age Origins, episode 23. Okay, so it looks like Dog leveled up. I did not notice that last time. I have been checking the gift guide on the wiki, and I've noted down the ones that we have. And while I was doing that, let's level him up. While I was doing that, I realised that Dog has that ability to find items, and I haven't been doing it. I haven't been doing it at all. I completely forgot. So we'll have to start doing that. Every time we enter a new area, I'll have him look for an item. And then, you know, before we leave an area as well, I might as well try it again. So we'll have him look for an item before we leave. What does he need here, though? He's very behind on stamina, so we'll just pump all of those in there. Yeah. Okay. Good dog. And let's have a chat. No. Oh god, let's pet him first. I can't resist. No. Okay, try that again. Do you see anything? Okay, he's given me a dirt-covered root of some kind. Brilliant. Might have some sort of healing property. So an elf root then. No, a death root. Okay, healing properties really. Heals you of life, I'm sure. Alright. A deadly poison. Yeah. Oh my god, we've got 19 of them. Oh my god, we've got 70 elf root. I definitely don't have enough flasks for these. I definitely don't. I have Mabari Crunch, don't I? What do I need for Mabari Crunch? Elf Fruit and Deep Mushroom, okay. So it's not even the glasses that I need for that. Flasks. No. I only have 6 flasks. Well, sure. Let's get a few more Mabari Crunch. We don't need health poultices. We're okay there. Alright. Well, good to know. Now. Travel. Okay, so it's that one that I need to go to, not this one. Alright. Because that's the way deeper into the forest.
So I take it you did not enjoy your Templar training?
That's directed at me, I take it.
Do you see any others about who have failed at their religious instruction?
I didn't fail, I was recruited into the Grey Wardens.
And if you had not been recruited, what would have happened instead?
I would have turned into a drooling lunatic, slaughtered the Grand Cleric and run through the streets of Denham in my small clothes, I guess.
Your self-awareness does you credit.
I thought you'd like that.
Oh, I love stir. Honestly. Poor thing. I'm sure he wouldn't have. I'm sure he wouldn't have. Not in his small clothes, anyway. Slaughtering the Grand Cleric I can get behind, but the rest of it... Well, I wouldn't let him do it alone, anyway. Alright, so Lothering is definitely gone now. It is destroyed. Yep, luckily I don't think we needed to do anything else there. We found the Blackstone Irregular guy that we needed to see there. Yeah. Alright, well let's get to the party camp. We got some gifts to give out.
The Blight.
Oh.
How will you end it?
Sten, give me a minute, man. By fighting the Archdemon.
Is that all? It is surrounded by an ocean of darkspawn. How will you reach it? If you reach it, how will you slay it? You say you are a Grey Warden. I have heard stories of this order.
Really? And what have you heard?
Great strategists and peerless warriors. That is what we hear of the Wardens. So far, I am not impressed.
And you think you could do better?
Yes.
Oh, Sten approves +2. Wow. Damn, really? He approves of telling me that he's better than me? Cheers. Gosh. Okay, well... Fine. I'm gonna go talk to Dog. I will get to you. Let's turn that off. I don't want that in my my conversations. Okay. Warden Wolf, speak to me, baby. Okay.
You are a true warrior and worthy of respect.
Damn right he is. Alright. So nothing for me then, dog. Okay. Fine. Let's chat with Alistair then.
What do you need?
I'd like to ask you something.
Ask away.
You said you were raised by the Chantry.
Oh, did I say that? I meant that dogs raised me. Giant slobbering dogs from the Anderfells. A whole pack of them, in fact.
Really? Well, they must have had a hard time.
Well, they were flying dogs, you see. Surprisingly strict parents, too. And devout Andrastians to boot.
And these devout flying dogs sold you to the Chantry, I guess?
Oh, there you go, listening to me again. You'd think you'd have gotten past that already. I ended up in the Chantry, sure, but I didn't start there. Let's see, how do I explain this? I'm a bastard. And before you make any smart comments, I mean the fatherless kind. My mother was a serving girl in Redcliffe Castle who died when I was very young. Our Lehman wasn't my father, but he took me in anyhow and put a roof over my head. He was good to me, and he didn't have to be. I respect the man, and I don't blame him anymore for sending me off to the Chantry once I was old enough.
Don't blame him anymore. So you did back then?
I was young and resentful and not very pious. Of course I blamed him. I remember screaming at him like a little child. Well, I was a child, so I doubt he was surprised. Our Lehman eventually married a young woman from Orlais, which caused all sorts of problems between him and the king because it was so soon after the war. But he loved her. Anyhow, the new Arlessa resented the rumors which pegged me as his bastard. They weren't true, but of course they existed. The Arl didn't care, but she did. So off I was packed to the nearest monastery at age 10, just as well. The Arlessa made sure the castle wasn't a home to me by that point. She despised me.
Sounds like you had a better time of it than most orphans get.
I suppose you're right. I wasn't raised as the Arl's son, though, if you're picturing that. I slept in hay, out in the stables, not on silk sheets. I remember I had an amulet, with Andraste's holy symbol on it. The only thing I had of my mother's. I was so furious at being sent away, I tore it off and threw it at the wall and it shattered. Stupid, stupid thing to do. The Arl came by the monastery a few times to see how I was, but I was stubborn. I hated it there, and blamed him for everything. And eventually, he just stopped coming.
And you think this man will help us now?
I think so, yes. This news we've heard about him being sick disturbs me, though. I wonder if we won't discover that Loghain has come to the same conclusion as we have. Anyway, that's really all there is to the story.
Okay, codex updated. We didn't get any approval changes either, so that's good. Or bad, depending. The Earl's wife Isolde suspected the reason her husband took an interest in the welfare of a servant's child was that Alistair was Eamon's son. She insisted that the boy be sent away to the Chantry. Okay. I will come back to you, Alistair. Let's have a chat with Liliana.
Yes?
I'd like to talk with you.
Well, here I am.
What was someone like you doing in Lothering's Chantry?
What is meant by someone like me?
A fighter. Someone who's damn good at it, too.
Did you think I was always a cloistered sister? The Chantry provides succor and safe harbor to all who seek it. I chose to stay and become affirmed.
Affirmed?
We affirm our belief in the Maker, in Andraste and the Chant, but other than that, there are no vows taken.
Why did you need safe harbor? What were you running from?
The Chantry does not pride, and you should. I desired time apart from the world. I was a traveling minstrel in Orlais. Tales and songs were my life. I performed, and they rewarded me with applause and coin. And my skill in battle? Well, you pick up different skills when you travel, yes? Yes, of course. Let's move on.
Okay, I am just completely avoiding any kind of approval changes, aren't I? Not doing very well with that. Let's talk with Sten.
Yes,
What were you doing in that cage?
sitting, as you observed.
Do you have to be so literal?
No, it's a choice, not a necessity.
Just tell me.
I did. Parshera, was there anything else?
Yes, I have a question.
I am hardly surprised.
Why did you come to Ferelden?
To answer a question,
What was the question?
the Arishok asked what is the Blight. By his curiosity, I am now here.
What's an Arishok?
The one who commands the Antam, the body of the Kunari.
Is he your king?
Kunari have no kings.
So what do you have then?
Little patience for endless questions.
Did you find the answer to his question?
A portion of it.
Don't you have to report back?
Yes.
And when are you going to do that?
Never. I cannot go home.
Why not?
It doesn't matter now. Can we move on? We keep the darkspawn waiting.
Very well.
As you wish.
Oh, -3. Sten really doesn't like me. Where are we at with Sten anyway? Oh, -2. Gosh. I am going to have to do some serious work with him. What gifts does he actually need? I don't... it's paintings. It's paintings, yeah. Just looking at my post-it that I've written it on, I don't think I actually have anything that he currently wants. Not in my gift pouch. That's Liliana, Ogren, Wynn, Alistair. I think that's Morrigan, Alistair, Ogren, Morrigan, Wynn or Ogren, and these can go to anyone, so I guess... Yeah, I guess those are the ones I'll have to give to Sten, just to try and get his approval up a little bit. And the Dalish gloves are for Zevran, of course. Okay, Morrigan. Let's chat with you.
What do you wish of me?
I'd like to ask you something.
If you must.
How did you become a shape changer?
I was not born such. 'Tis a skill of Flemeth's, taught over many years in the wilds. The chastened have tales of we witches, saying that we assume the forms of creatures to watch them from hiding. When a child is alone and separate from his tribe, that is when we strike, dragging the young boy kicking and screaming to our lair to be devoured. A most amusing legend.
Not something that you'd actually do, I take it.
Oh? I truly doubt that children would be worth the effort. They are filthy, smelly things full of tears and snot and trouble. That said, I cannot speak for the tastes of my mother. She has, after all, lived a very lengthy time in the wilds and done many things I know nothing of. Why do you ask? Is there something specific you wish to know?
Well, it's just, I've heard of some keepers who can change their shape. Wondered if it was similar to what you can do.
Oh? Then I have no doubt your people do much to keep their talents well hidden from humans. I wonder if I was to ask one of your keepers of the origin of their magics, if there would be any relation to what I was taught.
Right? That's what I was thinking.
I may even ask my mother about it someday, though I doubt she would tell the truth of it even so. Such is her way.
Can you change into other forms as well? Dwarf, perhaps? Human?
The form of an animal is different from my own. One may study the creature, learn to move as it does, think as it does. In time, this allows one to become as it is. I gain nothing by studying another human. I already am the same as they are. I learn nothing. So the answer is no, my human form is the only one I possess.
Do you spend a lot of time as an animal then?
There were nights when the wilds called to me, 'tis true. You look upon the world around you and you think you know it well. I have smelled it as a wolf, listened as a cat, prowled shadows that you never dreamed existed. But my life is as a human. I am under no illusions to the contrary.
Do the other animals accept you when you changed?
They do not shy away from me. To their senses, I believe I seem like any other of their species. As to what they think, I truly cannot say. Just as I am still human, no matter my form, they are still animals. Thus they cannot speak, even were I to ask.
Do you think this kind of magic is something anyone can learn?
Anyone with sufficient will. But the act of transformation is a magical one. 'Tis a spell, and thus requires a mage's talents. Indeed, you could learn the spells required, if I cared to teach you.
Interesting.
Indeed. Have you an opinion on my abilities, then? Am I an unnatural abomination to be put to the torch?
No. I would have to be quite the hypocrite to think that, Morrigan. In fact, your abilities seem incredibly useful.
A most practical opinion. Far more so than any man I have spoken to. But enough of such talk. Let us proceed, lest the dust gather on us.
Okay, wow, Morrigan approves +5. Okay, I found my niche. Morrigan is my niche. How are you doing with my approval? Morrigan is at +21. Oh my gosh. Damn. That's good. That is very good. And it's a very good thing, because I have lots and lots of gifts for Morrigan. Not so much for anyone else. Emissary Karen. Allied supply crates. Sweet.
You witnessed the rarest of things, Warden. The Dalish stand ready to defend Ferelden.
Glad to hear it. Do you need anything?
We have assembled on a short schedule. Certain factors of equipment could be better. Crafting components would serve best. Basic ones like elf root and deep mushroom.
Ah, elf root. Okay. A communal box for the resources we've collected for our troops. Let's turn in some crafting materials for the Dalish. Oh my god, give all elf fruits? Do I really want to do that? That's a lot of elf fruit. You know what, I'm probably going to get lots more, so sure, let's give all of my elf fruits in. Okay.
Generous as always, Warden.
Good. I'm sure that'll do something for you. Good. Alright. I actually need to remember. I'm going to have to look that up on the wiki and find out what the supply crates actually do. Because I could just sell that stuff. Let's talk with Alistair again.
What do you need?
I'd like to ask you something.
Ask away.
I'd like to know more about what a Templar can do.
Essentially, they're trained to fight. The Chantry would tell you that the Templars exist simply to defend. But don't let them fool you. They're an army. The other main purpose for a Templar is, of course, to hunt mages. To that end, we train in talents that drain mana and disrupt spells.
So, wait, does that mean Templars use magic themselves?
You could call it that, sure. The Chantry doesn't look on it the same way, however, since really our talents only work on mages. Against a regular person, I'm just a guy in a metal suit.
So, not everybody could learn these talents then?
Perhaps, but there usually isn't much of an opportunity. The Chantry keeps a close rein on its Templars. We are given lyrium to help develop our magical talents, you see. Which means we become addicted. And since the Chantry controls the lyrium trade with the dwarves, well, I'm sure you can put 2 and 2 together.
They made you a lyrium addict?
Thankfully, no. You only start receiving lyrium once you've taken your vows. You don't need lyrium in order to learn the Templar talents. Lyrium just makes Templars' talents more effective. Or so I was told. Maybe it doesn't even do that. The Chantry usually doesn't let their Templars get away either, so they can spread their secrets. I'm a bit of an exception. Lucky me.
Well, yeah, my conversations with you don't seem to be going anywhere, Alistair. Let's try again.
What do you need?
I'd like to ask you something.
Ask away.
Would you be able to teach someone to become a Templar?
I suppose I could. But I really would rather not. When the Grand Cleric let Duncan recruit me, she made me swear never to reveal Templar secrets outside of the Chantry. I'd rather not go back on my word.
Alright. I can respect that.
Ask me later, perhaps. Maybe I'll change my mind. This is not something small you're asking, after all.
That's true. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay, we've got a +1. I guess we got that +1 for respecting him and his decision. Oh my god, we're only at +8 with Alistair. No wonder he's not telling me anything. Come on, Alistair, let's get you up.
What do you need?
I'd like to ask you something.
Ask away.
If you hate the Chantry so much, why are you still a Templar?
Have you seen the uniform? It's not only stylish, but well made. I'm a sucker for good tailoring.
Really? I've not seen you wear it.
I keep it hidden under my pillow. Sometimes I'll take it out just so I can hug it fondly and remember the good old days. Brings a tear to the eyes, you know.
So it's sentiment.
Oh, sure. They said that all the self-flagellation would be unpleasant, but you know what they say. One man's pain. You don't really want to know about my being a Templar, do you? It's really quite boring.
I'm sure you've noticed by now that I use magic. I'd rather know about the Templar at my back.
Poke, poke, poke. Tell me everything about your life, Alistair. All right, if you insist. It's not like we have anything better to do, right? The truth of the matter is that I did hate going to the monastery. The initiates from poor families thought I put on airs, while the noble ones called me a bastard and ignored me. I felt like Al Eamon had cast me off unwanted, and I was determined to be bitter. But I took some solace in the training itself, I guess. I was actually quite good at it.
What did you enjoy about it?
The education, mostly, but also the discipline. You need to have a disciplined mind in order to use the abilities we have. It was difficult, but rewarding. I never really felt at home anywhere, though, until I joined the Grey Wardens. And Duncan felt my Templar abilities might be useful for when we encountered darkspawn magic, so I kept it up. What about you? Do you have anywhere you consider home?
Home is wherever my clan is.
You must miss them a great deal. Duncan and the Grey Wardens are the closest I ever got to that kind of family. We won't always be traveling like this, you know. Once the war is over, once the Blight is... well, a time will come when we'll have to think about having a real home again. Although that seems like a far ways off. And I suppose the Grey Wardens are gone for good. Either way.
An organisation like the Wardens can always be rebuilt. Besides, it's only the Wardens in Ferelden that are gone.
I suppose you're right. We can create new Grey Wardens, but we'll never get back those we lost. I wonder if it would ever feel the same. Anyhow, now I've sidetracked us. We'd better get back to what we're supposed to be doing right now.
+1. Oh my gosh, he is holding tight to his approval, isn't he? My god, Alistair. Alright, let's chat with Liliana.
I was just thinking about what happened to the elves, and I'm reminded of a song sung to me many years ago. It was when my mother died, and this wise elven woman comforted me and told me that we shouldn't fear death or hate it. Death is just another beginning. One day, we must all shed our earthly bodies to allow our spirits to fly free.
Her and Pyvel used to say something very similar to that.
Then perhaps you know this song.
It's fitting that she's doing this in Dalish armor. Please don't romance me, Liliana. It's lovely. That was a beautiful rendition of that song that I've totally, absolutely, probably heard before. As a Dalish, I probably do know it. Okay, speak with her again.
Yes?
I'd like to talk with you.
Well, here I am.
You lived in a chantry. I can't imagine what that must have been like.
Quiet. It was a life suited for contemplation. In the cloister, away from the fuss and the flurry of the cities, I found peace. And in that stillness, I could hear the Maker. But it was not perfect. Some of my chantry fellows were condescending. That is the nature of religious folk, I suppose.
Condescending? How do you mean?
When I talked about my beliefs, that the Maker reveals himself in the beauty of his world, they treated me with disdain. They want to believe that he's gone, so that when he turns his gaze on them, it means they are special, chosen. He cannot possibly have love for all, the sick and the weary, the beggars and the fools.
And what did you say to them then?
What can I say to them? What they believe is what the chantry says, and the chantry is infallible, yes? Maybe I am wrong. But it is the Maker's place to decide if I am worthy, not men, not the chantry. But there is work to be done. And I have talked enough for now.
Okay. Oh no, we're still middle grounding it. Okay. God damn. Well, I do need to get through all of these conversations, so let's try again, Liliana.
Yes?
I'd like to talk.
Well, here I am.
You said you used to be a traveling minstrel. Do you have any interesting tales?
Of course I do. I love stories far too much to keep them to myself. Everyone should be able to benefit from them, I think.
Tell me about the darkspawn.
Chantry law says it is man's pride that created the darkspawn. In ages past, the mages of the Tevinder Imperium ruled much of the world we know. In their pride, they thought their magics invincible and imagined that they were greater than the Maker himself. So thinking, they invaded his golden city, planning to take it for themselves and depose their own creator. But they were impure and full of sin. And it is with the sin that they tainted the golden city, corrupting it forever. The Maker cursed them and cast them from his sight. Wherever they went, they spread the taint of their sin. Any land that was touched by the taint became blighted and would suffer no life. Instead, the darkspawn arose to torment us and remind us of our hubris.
That's much more of an involved tale than what that mage back at Ostagar told me. Do you know any stories from all there?
Of course, Orlesians enjoy telling stories. I shall tell you my favorite tale of Aveline, the Knight of Olay.
A knight? Sounds interesting.
A long time ago, a girl child was born to a farmer. He had hoped for a son, not a daughter, and so he told his wife to abandon the child in the woods. Before the cold could claim her, the baby was found by a tribe of Dalish elves who took pity on the poor mewling thing and raised her as their own. Aveline, for that is what they called her, grew strong and quick and clever under the guidance of the elves. She learned to wield the sword as well as any man, could kill a deer with an arrow at 100 paces, and was as graceful on the back of a horse as she was on foot.
So she took to Dalish life well. good to know. Continue, please.
Avelin's Dalish guardians saw that she could easily best any Orlesian chevalier in battle, and wanted to show the cruel humans the child they had left to die. They bestowed upon her a fine horse and armor, and sent her to prove herself to her people in the grand tourney. Now in those days, no woman was allowed to take up arms, let alone compete in the grand tourney, but Aveline kept her helmet on and was not discovered.
They gave her a horse and sent her alone back to the humans. Okay, carry on.
Aveline won many events and gained the approval of the adoring crowd. Eventually, she came face to face with the knight Kaleva in the grand melee. Aveline had already bested him in the joust, and Kaleva was determined not to lose a second time. Out of desperation to regain his honor, Kaleva tripped Aveline and tossed her to the ground, ripping off her helmet as he did so. Silence fell upon the arena as Aveline was revealed. Kaleva declared the previous competitions invalid. A woman had taken part, and this was not allowed. But the crowd cheered for Aveline. Kaleva was furious, for he had lost to a woman and was now being shamed. Blinded by his rage, he forced Aveline to her knees. "Know your place, woman," cried he, and slit her throat.
Typical Shem. Of course he resorted to bloodshed.
The son of the king, Prince Freyan, was present. He recognized Aveline's skill and bravery and began to see the injustice done to the women in his land. When he was made king, he rewrote the laws of Orlais so that women could also become chevalier. He honored Aveline and knighted her after her death. And to this day, any female who is knighted reveres Aveline the Brave, for she is the patron of all women chevalier.
Suppose nothing bad befell the man who killed her. Do you know of any Ferelden legends?
I know one, told to me by my mother a long time ago. It always chilled me to the bone. Maybe you have heard of Flemeth?
The only Flemeth I've heard of is Ashbelina. She's also Morrigan's mother, if you'd like to know more.
Are you sure? Was she the Flemeth of legend? Flemeth, the devourer of men? Flemeth, mother of witches? Flemeth, demon-touched, who dwells in the mists?
That's not how she introduced herself, it's true.
Ferelden mothers scare their daughters with talk of Flemeth. They say that if you're bad, Flemeth will spirit you away and bind you to her forever. They also say that Flemeth mourns her lost beauty and will steal yours through your looking glass if she catches you.
Right, she said something about once being beautiful.
Flemeth's beauty was known throughout the land. She had hair like unto a moonless night, skin as pale as winter's first snow, and eyes as beautiful and perilous as the sea. When she came of age, she came to the attention of the Lord of Highever, Conobar, and he took her for his wife. Conobar soon learned that his young bride had the gift of magic. He kept this a secret, for he feared that she would be taken from him. Flemeth stayed with Conobar for some years, and with his blessing, she practiced her art. And then one day, a young poet named Osen came to the castle. Flemeth was captivated by Osen's voice, and he by her beauty, and they fell in love.
Ooh, then what happened?
Flemeth longed to be with her true love, and she and Osen fled from Conobar's lands, seeking refuge in the Kokari wilds with the Chasing tribes. They lived there happily for many a year, till the day Flemeth received news that Conobar was dying and longed to see her face one last time. Flemeth's heart swelled with pity for the man who once was her husband, and begged Osen to return to Conobar's side with her. But when Flemeth and Osen entered Highever, they were captured by Conobar's men, and Osen was slain in front of Flemeth's eyes. Flemeth was imprisoned in the highest tower of the castle, there to await Conobar's judgment on her. Distraught at the loss of her love, Flemeth plotted revenge against her husband. She summoned a fey demon, intending for it to wreak vengeance on Conobar. But a spell went awry. The demon possessed Flemeth. turning her into an abomination. The halls of the castle run red with blood as Flemeth slaughtered Conobar and all his men. The last of Flemeth's humanity melted away, and at dawn, she stole back to the wilds to plot and scheme for 100 years. They say she took to her side many chastened men, and with their help, begat her daughter witches, who even now prowl the dark places of the Kokari wilds.
That sounds like Morgan's mother. So there's this other story I wanted to hear. I'm not sure if you know it.
Which one?
It's a Dalish story. I'm not sure if you know anything about them. It's probably a long shot.
I know little about your people, but I may be misinformed, and I would hate to offend you.
Well, the best way to avoid that is to learn.
I have heard a little about how the elves gained their freedom from the Tevinter Imperium. When Andraste began her exalted march against the Imperium, the elves joined her cause to fight their masters. The great elven leader, Shatan, born in captivity, rose up to lead his people. He foresaw a future where the elves were free. Shatan was killed when Andraste was betrayed, but the elves continued to fight, eventually breaking free of the Imperium. The elves claimed the Dales in the south and settled there in the land of their own.
But it didn't last.
The elves lived in the Dales for centuries. They resurrected the worship of the elven gods and would allow the building of no chantry. This angered the chantry, and the hostility between the two factions finally broke out in open war. The chantry says the elves struck first, but I do not know whether to believe it. The chantry declared a wholly exalted march against the elves, named for Andraste's similar march against Tevinter. During the exalted march of the Dales, the elven cities were sacked, and the elven state completely dissolved. Some of the elves bitterly accepted their fates and surrendered to human rule, living in the human cities as second-class citizens. But others, still fiercely proud of their heritage, refused to bow to the humans, and instead became homeless wanderers. They were the elves of the Dales, the Dalish.
That's almost exactly what we teach our children. But we know who really attacked first, and it wasn't us. So this Andraste, what do you know about her?
Andraste was the Maker's chosen. The Maker had long since abandoned the world when the sound of her singing turned his ear. Beauty, grace, and wisdom enraptured him, and he offered to take her from this flawed world to become his divine bride. But Andraste had an earthly husband and would not forsake him. Instead, she beseeched the Maker to return to his people once more. So earnest was her plea that the Maker was moved, and promised that he would create a paradise on Earth if all abandoned their false gods and turned once more to him.
Interesting.
And this is why Andraste began her exalted march on the idolaters of the Tevinter Imperium. The Maker granted her his powers with which to smite her enemies. Andraste brought the Imperium to its knees, and her victories converted many to the worship of the Maker.
How did she die?
Alas, it was the frailties of men that betrayed and killed Andraste. Her earthly husband, Maferath, a chieftain of the Alamari tribes himself, grew jealous as his wife's popularity and influence overshadowed his own. She was also revered as the Maker's betrothed, and Maferath began to see their own bond waning in significance as Andraste became ever more devoted to the Maker. Out of envy and spite, Maferath made a pact with the Archon Hysarian of Tevinter, allowing his beloved Andraste to be ambushed and captured. Andraste was burned at the stake in Minrathous, the capital of Tevinter.
So why didn't your Maker save her then?
I have thought on this too. Did he withdraw his sight from her at that moment? Where were all the powers he bestowed upon her? This question has come to me many times, and I have no answer. Perhaps there was no way for Andraste to return to the Maker but through her death. We will never know for sure.
Well, thanks for taking the time to tell me these stories. Oh, +5. Awesome. Okay, that's not a lot. That is not a lot, but we're at 24. Okay, +24 is brilliant. That is brilliant. We're actually doing really well here with Liliana. Let's try again with Alistair.
What do you need?
I'd like to ask you something.
Ask away.
How did you become a Grey Warden?
Same way you did. You drink some blood, you choke on it, and pass out. You haven't forgotten already, have you?
Before that, I mean.
Let's see, I was in the Chantry before. I trained for many years to become a Templar, in fact. That's where I learned most of my skills.
Right, you mentioned that before.
It's really for the best. I'm not exactly the Chantry type, if you haven't noticed. I don't think I would have made a very good Templar. The Grand Cleric didn't want to let me go. Duncan was forced to conscript me, actually, and was she ever furious when he did. I thought she was going to have us both arrested. I was lucky.
Why did she want to keep you?
I wondered that myself. It's not as if she valued me highly. I think she just didn't want to give anything to the Grey Wardens, is all. The Chantry didn't lose much. And I think I can do more fighting the Blight anyhow, rather than sitting in a temple somewhere. I'll always be thankful to Duncan for recruiting me. If it hadn't been for him, you know, I wouldn't have.
I shouldn't have brought him up. Sorry.
No, it's... I'm sorry. I shouldn't be. It's fine. He died a hero. They all did. Come on, let's go. I think I'm done talking.
God damn it. Alistair! Give me your approval, man. Okay. Let's actually get rid of some of these gifts. I definitely need to give something to Alistair to help this along a little bit. Onyx Demon Statuette. That one is... You see, Demon Statuette is one of the ones that he wants. Let's go for Small Carved Statuette first. Alistair.
I could get used to this, you know.
Okay, that's plus 10, so we're at 19 now. That's good. And yeah, just said demon statuette, but I'm pretty sure all of the statuettes all go to Alistair, so let's just give him that one as well.
I could get used to this, you know.
Plus 9. Okay, brilliant. 28. We're at warm. Good. Okay, Codex updated. And he's gained a skill. Okay. Alistair is fascinated by magic, even as his life is defined by fighting its darker manifestations. He has a fondness for strange runestones and figural studies of arcane creatures. Awesome. Okay. Cool. And he's gained a skill. A plot skill. Minor Constitution. Oh, inspired by my leadership, he's gained a minor boost to Constitution. Brilliant. That'll definitely help then. Okay, now let's see if he says anything good.
Something on your mind?
I have some questions.
Of course.
You and Duncan said that there were changes after the joining. What are they?
You mean other than becoming a Grey Warden?
Well, you have been a Grey Warden longer than I have.
You know, I asked Duncan this too, and all I got was, you'll see.
He wouldn't tell you?
Oh, it's not that Duncan wants to keep it a secret, it's just that the Grey Wardens don't discuss it much. I gather it's not a pleasant topic. The first change I noticed was an increase in appetite. I used to get up in the middle of the night and raid the castle larder. I thought I was starving. I'd slurp down every dinner like it was my last. My face all covered in gravy. When I'd look up, the other Grey Wardens would stare, then laugh themselves to tears.
I haven't felt anything like that just yet.
Really? Because I was watching you wolf down food the other day, and I thought, ooh, it's a good thing she gets a lot of exercise.
That seems like an exaggeration. I'm just not used to there being so much readily available food. That's all.
I suppose it could affect women differently from men. I never asked. Oh, and then there were the nightmares. Duncan said it was part of how we sense the darkspawn. We tap into their, well, I don't know what you'd call it, their group mind. And when we sleep, it's even worse. You learn to block it out after a while, but at first it's hard. It's supposed to be worse for those who join during a blight. How is it for you?
Nightmares. I've had some nightmares.
Some people never have much trouble, but that's rare. Others have trouble sleeping their entire life. They're just more sensitive, I suppose. Everyone ends up the same, though. Once you reach a certain age, the real nightmares come. That's how a Grey Warden knows his time has come.
His time has come? What does that mean?
Oh, that's right. We never had time to tell you that part, did we? Well, in addition to all the other wonderful things about being a Grey Warden, you don't need to worry about dying from old age. You've got 30 years to live, give or take. The Taint, it's a death sentence. Ultimately, your body won't be able to take it. When the time comes, most Grey Wardens go to Orzammar and die in battle rather than waiting. It's tradition.
Why Orzammar?
You'll always find darkspawn down where the dwarves are. The oldest Grey Wardens head to the deep roads for one last glorious battle. Not that there's a shortage of darkspawn during a Blight, but that's the tradition. The dwarves respect us for it. And you wondered why we kept the joining a secret from the new recruits. And there you have it.
Well, I wish I could say I was surprised. But there had to be a reason that Duncan couldn't just cure me and let me go back to my clan. I suppose this is it. Makes sense.
You know, Duncan, he started having the nightmares again. He told me that in private. He said it wouldn't be long before he'd go to Orzammar himself. I guess he got what he wanted. I just wish it had been something worthy of him.
Well, it's a bit grim to think that's all we have to look forward to.
We can look forward to ending the Blight. That's what's supposed to make this worth it.
Right. +2. Okay, brilliant. I thought for a second there I was going to fall at the last hurdle. He got what he deserved. That's what I was thinking, but then I thought, hang on. That sounds a little bit too wrong. That sounds a bit too harsh. So, not what I ended up going with. Okay. So we've ended up at 30. Nice. Very nice. 30 with Alistair. Leliana, let's go back with you and then we'll we'll hang around Sten a bit more. I'd like to talk.
Well, here I am.
So all she's going to do is tell me tales. Okay. Tell me a tale.
All right. It is my job to spin yarns after all.
No, I've had all of those. Okay, never mind. Alright. Well, Sten,
Yes,
I have a question.
I am hardly surprised.
Ah, really? Okay, never mind.
Very well. As you wish.
Damn it. Okay, what do I have? I have some stuff that I could give to Sten to get his approval up a little bit. The painted skyball is just a general gift, so I could give that to him. Might at least get me into the pluses again. Let's do that.
Unexpected. Thank you.
There we go. Okay, so we're at +3 now. Awesome. A tribal necklace, why not?
Unexpected. Thank you.
+7. Okay, that's good. Alright, I'll leave it at that then. Let's try again to talk to Sten.
Yes,
I have a question.
I am hardly surprised.
No, okay, he's just not going to talk to me.
Very well. As you wish.
Alright, well, I'll get you eventually, Sten. I will get you eventually. Suppose there's not really much to say to him until we get him his sword, but... never mind. Morrigan,
What do you wish of me?
I'd like to ask you something.
If you must.
About your mother. Is she really what she seems to be?
Well, that depends, does it not? What does she seem to be?
Human.
Oh, she certainly was human. Once. Tell me, how much do you know of the tale? The one that the Chastened still tell of my mother, to frighten them into obedience.
Well, Leliana just gave me a rendition of it.
No doubt such a tale has mutated much over time and telling. I can relay what Flemeth once told me herself, and you can decide whether or not 'tis the truth, if you desire.
Alright.
As the tale is sung by the bards, there was a time when Flemeth was young and beautiful, a fair lass in a land of barbarian men, the desire of any who saw her.
Was that not true then?
No, quite true, but this part only. The tales say that Flemeth fell in love with Osen the Bard, and fled the castle of her husband, the dread Lord Conobar, and that he swore vengeance for her infidelity. In truth, my mother claims that 'twas Osen who was her husband, and Conobar the jealous lord who looked on from afar. Lord Conobar approached young Osen and offered him wealth and power in exchange for his lovely wife, and Osen agreed.
He sold his wife to someone else?
The life of a bard is a poor one, and love fades in the wake of hunger. 'Twas Flemeth who suggested the arrangement. All would have been well had Lord Conobar kept his end of the bargain. But he was a foul man who bargained with coin he did not possess. Osen was led off to a field and slain, left for dead. Flemeth spoke to the spirits and learned of the deed, and swore revenge.
But didn't she want to be married to a wealthier man? She got what she wanted, didn't she?
That was not the point. Conobar had no honor, so she would not have him. Flemeth begged the spirits to aid her, and 'twas they who slew Conobar. The demon the legend tells of came later. Lord Conobar's allies chased Flemeth, you see, chased her to the wilds, and there she hid. There she found the demon, and he made her strong. The legends all speak of the great hero Cormac, he who defeated Flemeth and her great army when she invaded the lowlands centuries later. All lies.
Which? That she never invaded, or he never defeated her?
The truth of the matter is that there was never an invasion. As Flemeth tells it, the Chastened never raised an army under her banner, and she never fought with any warrior named Cormac. Cormac led a brutal civil war against his own people, and later claimed it was to vanquish evil that had taken root amongst the lords. Thus, he was hailed a hero. Flemeth was only attached to the legend much later. Perhaps 'twas due to the great war with the Chastened that eventually came, but Mother claims not to know how it began.
And do you believe the version of the tale she gave you?
I do not believe everything that Flemeth claims. Oft it seems her bitterness has colored her memories. But on the whole, yes, I believe this tale, if not all.
How has she survived for so long?
The demon within her has transformed her into something else. An abomination, perhaps some would say. I know not. I only know my mother is clever, and she is part of the wilds as it is part of her. But she is no immortal. She bleeds. A blade in her heart would kill her like any other, were it lucky enough to find her.
I've heard that abominations usually become monsters, but she didn't seem like one.
How often is this usually? Always? If not always, then when is it not true? There are more things in this world and the next than you or I could ever hope to understand. What Flemeth became is a mystery. I suspect, even to her.
And the many daughters that she's said to have. Do you know anything about that?
You ask if I have sisters. I have asked of this myself. The stories tell of many witches of the wilds after all, not just the one. And these tales existed long before I did. Flemeth refuses to speak of other daughters, if they existed. So, should I believe I am her first? I doubt that too.
Why wouldn't she want to speak of them?
The Chastened tell of a falling out between Flemeth and her daughters. They say that one day she hunted them all through the wilds and ate their hearts. It may be true. I have never seen another witch or heard of one. Perhaps one day Flemeth will eat my heart as well.
That doesn't seem likely, but it's an interesting story. Thank you for telling it to me.
Flemeth tells it with far more embellishment than I, but you are welcome. Dare I ask of your own mother? Few are abominations of legend, 'tis true, but I find myself curious nevertheless.
My mother died a long time ago.
Ah, then you have my sympathies for what it is worth. Which is very little, I am certain. It matters not. Let us move on.
Ooh, a net +5. Good. Sweet. And we got a codex update. Morrigan's critical eye is not reserved solely for others. Knowing or not, she has a simple fondness for jewellery and is very particular about her appearance. Okay. Sweet. And a skill acquired. So, minor magic. Okay, inspired by my leadership, she's gained a minor boost to magic. Fantastic. So, that puts her at 26. Awesome. Awesome. Okay. You know what, let's try again.
I await your command.
Oh, hon. I'd like to ask you something.
So, full of questions, are you?
Have you ever been hunted by the Chantry?
My mother has been hunted from time to time, yes, by Templar fools like Alistair, which should tell you how successful they generally were. Flemeth made a bit of a game of it, in fact. The Templars would come again, and she would look at me and smile and say that the fun was to begin once more.
You really had no trouble with them then?
I am unsure. I was too young to understand, and perhaps 'twas bravado on Flemeth's part, or perhaps she was merely amused. I will never know. Flemeth would warn them, once. 'Twas a warning they inevitably failed to heed. And then the true game began. Often Flemeth would use me as bait. A little girl to scream and run and lure the Templars deeper into the wilds and to their doom.
Did you kill them all?
Me? No, I never did any of the killing, until later. And even then, Flemeth was a glutton for that sort of thing. Thankfully, the wilds is a vast place. Once they found us, Flemeth would simply move us elsewhere, and we would be lost within the forest once again. I did not understand the danger we faced until I was much older. I had never heard of apostates or maleficarum.
Sounds like the Templars got what they deserved.
Perhaps they did. Still, I do not begrudge them doing what they believe is necessary. The Chantry sees any mages not leashed to the Circle of Magi as apostates. And apostates could become maleficarum, evil mages that resort to blood magic and become demon-enslaved abominations. It may even be true. Still, those of us who prefer freedom see no reason to submit.
That's exactly what the Dalish believe. Freedom for ourselves and never submitting to others.
An interesting answer for a mage. Enough of this talk. Let us return to the task at hand.
That's the problem with being having such a different origin, I guess. That was a +4, that's nice. But I'm either a Dalish or a mage, and unfortunately the mage took precedence there rather than the Dalish, but never mind. It's fine. So, where are we at with her now? 30. Okay, so Morrigan and Alistair are both at 30. Good. Liliana was creeping up, she's at 24, and Sten... Let's not talk about Sten. Never mind Sten. Let's have a chat one more time with Morrigan.
I await your command.
I'd like to ask you something.
So, full of questions, are you?
Are you really Flemeth's daughter?
I assume you were actually asking whether Flemeth herself gave birth to me. Truly, I do not know. I once asked Flemeth that very question, and she merely laughed at me. 'Tis not inconceivable that she could capture a chastened man, or perhaps change to a more attractive form to attract him willingly. I find it more difficult to imagine her with child.
Is it possible for abominations to reproduce?
Who knows for certain? Flemeth is unique in her fashion, providing that the tales of her legend are as she claims. And she claims little. I do know the tales of Flemeth having many daughters, even though I have never met another. And Flemeth has always treated me as her blood.
So does that mean that you love her?
What an odd thing to say! Why must love enter into the equation? Flemeth taught me everything I needed to learn. How to survive, the meaning of power, the truth of men. If other mothers do not teach these things, then I believe them the lesser.
And nurturing and love just don't matter?
Room for coddling and weakness? Why should such things be desirable? To indulge in love is to indulge in delusion. Surely a Grey Warden such as yourself does not believe otherwise.
I think this is one topic we're going to have to disagree on. I do believe otherwise. It's very necessary. I might not have had a mother, but Ashal loved me and raised me as her own. And I love the rest of my clan. And they love me. I don't think that's a delusion.
I see. Well, we all have our weaknesses, don't we?
Yeah, -5. Okay, we got some minuses there. Well, it's okay. She will learn when she has a kid of her own. Alright. Let's see what we can do with... I'd like to try more for Liliana, but I'm not sure if I should. Nah, okay. So, we have at least gotten some things out of our inventory. It wasn't a lot of things, unfortunately. But I was hoping to hear more from Liliana before I gave her the Andraste's Grace. I'm almost certain that I'm supposed to have already heard that she enjoys the smell of Andraste's Grace, so it reminds her of her mother or something like that. And then I give it to her. Unless I give it to her first and then she tells me all that. I'm not sure. I suppose I could get rid of the golden rope necklace and give that to Morrigan. Just to free up some space. Maybe I should also ask her about shape-shifting, but... We've dipped down to 25 now. Well, let's try it anyway.
What do you wish of me?
I'd like to ask you something.
If you must.
Can you teach others to become a shape changer?
Possibly, if I had the desire to. I do not.
Why not?
I was told to accompany you and to help you, and that I shall. This may extend to the teaching of my mother's skills in time. For now, I simply do not know you well enough. I promise nothing.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm pretty sure that's one of the things that was fixed in Dane's fixes, was it? Or it might have been Quinn's fix pack. Probably Quinn's, okay. Because that was something that she'd only do at a rather low, approval. But if that was fixed, then I should be able to raise her approval and not worry about missing out on that. So let's just give her that.
I am grateful.
Plus 10.
It is thoughtful indeed.
Very nice. Okay. And let's try again.
I await your command.
I'd like to ask you something.
So, full of questions, are you?
Can you teach others to become shape changers?
By others, do you mean yourself?
Yes, I am giving some serious thought to it.
Then I shall teach you what I can whenever we are in camp, provided you have the will to even make the attempt, that is.
Awesome. Okay, so we've got shape changer. Not that we didn't already have shape changer, but I like having the little unlock. Okay, good. That's something that I'm not going to miss out on later. I suppose it doesn't really matter about missing out on it, but I'd feel bad if I missed out on it. Really. Okay. I suppose I should probably sell those, actually. The engraved silver bowl and the Tale of Eloran. Pretty sure the Tale of Eloran is what Liliana just sang. So, yeah, let's talk to Bodan.
You and your friends are formidable folk, indeed. It's good to have you along on the road.
Let's see your wares.
I'm sure you'll be pleased with the goods my boy and I have collected, and with your discount.
Okay, let's get rid of the bowl. And the tail. Okay. Suppose I could start getting some of the Phoenix armor for Liliana. That would be a good use of my money. Let's at least get the scout boots. And the scout gloves as well. The boots and gloves are fine. There's no way that she'll be able to wear the medium armors, surely. Doesn't she only have light armor? Gosh, I'll have to check. Liliana. Oh. I'm pretty sure she's a... Okay, she doesn't have the strength for medium armor just yet. So yes, she's just a light armor person. Let's put those on. And those. Okay. Yeah, alright, that's cute. I like it. It's not going to be a full set anymore. In fact, was that? Yeah, that did give her a set bonus. Okay. I might have to get her the scout armor then. Bodan.
Are you sure I can't interest you in this hat? A pair of earrings, perhaps? A cheese knife?
Let me see.
I'm sure you'll be pleased with the goods my boy and I have collected. And with your discount.
Okay, let's get her the scout armor. Just because. I do have enough money for another backpack. So, let's buy that. 110, awesome. I'm not going to get the gifts. I'm not going to get these gifts. Not right now. I like having them and I might have to resort to them for Sten. Definitely for Sten. But nah, I'm good with leaving this for now. So, Leliana. Let's get you your Phoenix set. Alright. She's far more exposed now, unfortunately. But I'll have to give her some strength so she can get to the Battle Maiden armor, which is so good looking. I really love the tier 2, I guess. The tier 2 part of that armor. Sandal. I don't suppose...
Enchantment?
Yeah.
Enchantment!
So, Leliana's. Okay, what can we give her? Let's give some Journeyman Lightning. Yeah. And that definitely worked, I'm guessing. Yes, okay, it has +2 electricity damage. Good. Okay, so Sten's Greatsword. Let's give him the Cold Iron rune. Yeah. That seems really good. And we'll just sell the novice runes that we've got. We don't need them. And maybe the journeyman ones as well. We'll just keep the Grandmaster one. And I guess the Silverite one because it's against darkspawn. Okay, let's get rid of the novice lightning rune. Novice flame. Journeyman frost because we have frost weapons, so we don't need to worry about that. Yeah, the journeyman dwemer rune as well. Well, I mean, chance to reduce movement speed, that's not actually that great, is it? So we'll sell that one as well. And we'll just keep the Silverite rune. What does she need for that? Well, however much she needs for medium armor. Unless it doesn't have a requirement. In which case I probably could have just bought this for her. God damn it. Well, never mind. Never mind. We've got something for her now. She can spend some time with that. Okay. Let's sell the Dalish gloves, Dalish boots, and Dalish armor. And we will give the rest of this armor to Sten, at least what we can of it. Ancient Elven armor. Sweet. And the Ancient Elven boots. It's not a full set just yet. We need to get some Ancient Elven gloves from somewhere. Because he's not strong enough for the Juggernaut stuff just yet. But I think that looks pretty cool. Yeah. And he does actually need to level up, doesn't he? Okay. Well, let's get him to Strength 32. And he needs some willpower, doesn't he? There we go. Combat tactics would be good. Let's do that. Oh, a penalty to attack. That's cool. And also possibly a knockdown. Definitely go with champion. Okay. Sweet. Okay. This has been a very long episode of just talking, really. We had a lot of conversations that we absolutely needed to do before we carried on with the main story. In fact, I probably could have carried on talking to them as well, but I'm going to leave it for now because that was a lot of character interaction, so I don't want to bore everybody too much. Maybe I should have just done one character at once. never mind. Okay, so we'll be going to the Mage's Tower after this and collecting Win. That's always fun. I love doing the fade. Surprisingly. I mean, I don't like how it looks. I just love the shape-changing aspect of it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, hit the like button. I upload 5 videos a week, so subscribe and you'll be notified when those go live. Hit the bell to update notifications. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.